I stopped in my tracks. The sheer audacity of her request hung in the humid air of the early September afternoon. Slowly, I turned back around. Sophie was standing there, looking like the picture of tragic reluctance, as if she were doing me a monumental favor by even speaking to me. Let me get this straight, I said, my voice deadpan. You want me to lie to the only person in your family who actually treats me with respect, so that you can continue your dramatic, chaotic love life without her interference? Sophie flinched, the harshness of my words clearly catching her off guard. It's not like that, Ethan. It's easier this way. You know how she gets. She won't let it go unless she thinks you're completely unavailable. Easier for you. I corrected her, my tone dropping to a quiet, icy register. Sophie, your mother's expectations are your problem, not mine. I am not your shield. I am not your excuse. And I am certainly not going to lie to Aunt Penny for you. I watched the realization slowly dawn on her face. The realization that I was no longer the boy who would jump at her command, the boy who would endure humiliation just to stay in her orbit. You're being unreasonable, she snapped, a familiar, haughty edge creeping back into her voice. I'm trying to find a solution that works for both of us. There is no us, Sophie, I said softly, the finality of the statement echoing between us. There hasn't been an us since high school graduation. Good luck with your life. I turned my back on her and walked into the dorm building, not looking back even when I heard her call my name one last time, her voice tinged with a frustration that bordered on panic. That evening, I called Aunt Penny. It was one of the hardest conversations of my life. I had to gently but firmly dismantle the fantasy she had built over a decade. I explained that Sophie and I were fundamentally incompatible, that the childhood jokes were just that, jokes, and that continuing to force the issue was only causing pain and resentment for everyone involved. Aunt Penny cried. She apologized profusely, realizing for the first time the depth of the damage her well-intentioned pressure had caused. She promised to back off, to let Sophie live her life, and to stop pushing us together. I felt a profound sense of relief after that call. It was as if I had finally severed the last heavy anchor tying me to a past I no longer wanted. And then, I met Lily. It was during the spring semester of my sophomore year. We were assigned to the same group for a grueling, semester-long project in our advanced economics seminar. Lily was the exact opposite of Sophie. She wasn't the center of attention. She was the quiet, brilliant force sitting in the back of the room. She had a sharp wit, an infectious laugh, and a quiet confidence that didn't require validation from anyone else. We spent hours in the library, poring over data sets and drafting reports. Those hours turned into coffee dates, which turned into late-night walks around campus, which turned into the kind of deep, effortless connection I had always thought was a myth. With Lily, there were no games. There was no chasing, no humiliation, no feeling of inadequacy. There was just absolute, mutual respect and a growing, undeniable love. By the time our junior year rolled around, we were inseparable. My roommates loved her. My mom adored her. And I finally understood what it meant to be truly happy with someone. I still saw Sophie around campus occasionally, but she had become a ghost to me. A fleeting, irrelevant detail in the background of my life. I heard through the grapevine that she had dated a string of different guys, none of them lasting more than a few months. But I didn't care. My focus was entirely on my studies, my future, and Lily. Which brings us back to the present. The graduation ceremony, the giant screen, the deafening silence, and Sophie, standing on stage, tears streaming down her face, asking me if I hadn't been in love with her for years. The stadium was so quiet I could hear the hum of the PA system. Thousands of eyes were boring into me, waiting for my response. Mark, sitting next to me, had finally realized the gravity of the situation and was staring at me with wide, panicked eyes. I stood up. The folding chair scraped loudly against the concrete floor. I looked up at Sophie, standing at the podium, bathed in the spotlight. The slideshow behind her had paused on